One of the Draper's best investments was in David Lee, the first foreign-born American to take a high-tech company public.
When we came over, we have nothing. $600, 20 kilos of clothes. And this society give us opportunity and everything.
Even entrepreneur, it sounds very good, but being a spouse is very difficult because most of the time he's traveling or he's not home. I raised my 3 children by myself, and he sometimes don't remember how old they are.
David Lee manufactures high-end telephones. He embodies the new breed of global entrepreneur.
Okay, don't eat too much, okay?
In the early 90s, David Lee returned to his homeland for the first time in over 4 decades.
I always afraid to go back to a communist country. I was born in Beijing and actually right in the Tiananmen Square. And we left there after the revolution, 1949. We were very lucky that we were able to leave the country. We were like the boat people and on top of a cargo ship. We left everything, and the only thing is whatever we can carry. This is a free trade zone, and anything you do in here, you don't have to pay tariff, or you can build the thing and then ship it out, and for export purpose.
David Lee set up a joint venture in a free trade zone near Shanghai. Lee saw at first hand a China in the midst of epic economic transformation. China's communist leadership had embraced markets and welcomed hundreds of billions of dollars of foreign investment. Almost 1/4 of the world's population was entering the global market for the first time. In villages across China and throughout the developing world, people left their rural homes. They traveled to industrial towns, seeking work in new factories built to serve the global market. The era of globalization saw the largest wave of human migration in history. 80% of the world's future economic growth is expected to occur in cities rather than the countryside.
I was a school teacher in the countryside. At that time, I only earned $100 a month. My parents are both farmers, so we lived a very poor life. But now I'm earning $3,000 a month. My life is totally different. My child is going to school here near the factory. So we are living a much, much better life now.
China's leaders hoped to emulate the tiger economies of Southeast Asia, where trade and investment had transformed once impoverished nations.
When the British came here in 1819, they found a fishing village of about 120 people. No agriculture because the ground was infertile. It's when the empires broke up. Everybody wanted to do their own trading. And we could easily have just withered on the vine. So we just had to make ourselves relevant to the world, and the countries that make themselves relevant become better off. Those who opt out, they suffer.
Since the 1970s, the countries of Southeast Asia had become world-class exporters, shipping everything from cars to computers across the globe.
And they called it the Asian economic miracle because the world had not really seen that kind of economic growth, that many people brought out of poverty, that rapid a creation of a middle class so quickly anywhere in the history of the world.
By the mid-90s, many Asian economies were growing at the astonishing rate of 10% or more each year.
There was a tremendous confidence and hope that this was the Asian century and the place was being transformed, and you just had to put money there and it would grow on trees.
I remember the CEO of one major company in about 1995 or so saying, if we're not invested tomorrow in Asia, we're too late.
Yet there was one big exception. Japan, the world's second largest economy, had fallen into a deep, unexpected slump that shook the confidence of its people.
Japan was in the so-called bubble economy, and at that time, the Japanese people were not very careful about debt. After the collapse of the bubble economy, people came back to reality and came down from their dreams.
Japan's economy once looked unstoppable, but it was slow to adapt to the rapid changes of a fast-moving, interconnected world.
Japan is a very sort of parochial and very closed economy. There's no question about that. It's a very closed society. Walk around the Japanese cities, you don't see many foreigners.
Japan, the great exporter, protected its domestic industries. At the heart of the country's economic problems lay a contradiction.
One sector of the Japanese economy, export-oriented sort of sector, which is highly competitive, consisting of Toyotas and Sonys. And the other is a domestic manufacturing and domestic service industry, and which is extremely uncompetitive. You know, we have a market-oriented capitalistic system on the one hand, we have a very socialistic, egalitarian sort of sector on the other hand.
In Japan, government bureaucrats managed a highly regulated economy. As Masahisa Naito was to learn, ideas about change met with profound skepticism.
I wanted to deregulate our financial system. The new global markets of the 1990s created a new reality. I said we had to change for Japan to thrive in the new world economy. My colleagues in the government criticized me. They said that it was in the best interest of Japan that my ideas be destroyed.
Naito was fired without warning. Japan stuck to its old ways, and the nation's economic slump continued. For the first time, an Asian economic miracle was in trouble.